Salve, amici, and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at Vergil's second Eclogue, and this is going to be lines, I think, 12 through 18 is what this is. Here's the rubric, everything that we look for as we go through the text. Let's go ahead and get started. At mecum raucis tua dum vestigia lustro, sole sub ardenti resonant arbusta cicadis. Nonne fuit satius tristis amarillados, or amarilladis iras, atque superba pati fastidia, nonne manalcan quamvis ille niger, quamvis tu candidos es, or formonse puer, nimium ne crede colori, alba ligustra cadunt, lacenia nigra leguntur. And there we have it. At is our opening word, and this one means but. There is, however, a variant possibility for what this could be. It could actually be that we have an ak here, which would mean and it's a more emphatic form of and than et. But we're going to go with at, so but. Mecum, of course, we've seen this before elsewhere. It's just the preposition cum with me. We get raucis, is right there, and this comes from raucus, rauca, raucum. It is an adjective. So we have either a dative or ablative plural with this. But masculine, feminine, or neuter, we don't know until we can find the noun it's modifying. Here we have a different clause, so we're going to move past this and return after figuring out the rest. Sole, we have that E right there, which could either be a ablative or it could be a adverbial ending. So I'm going to leave that alone. Sub, prepositional phrase right there. Ardenti, correct form, but resonant is not. So plus ablative. Resonant with A and T there. This is resono, resonare. It is a first conjugation. This is going to be a third singular present tense. It's active, and it is indicative. So we know we're looking for a plural subject, and of course resonant means resound or echo. Arbusta, with that A right there. This comes from arbustum, so it's a neuter. With A, that makes it either a nominative or accusative plural. If it's accusative plural, then it fits with our verb. Checking next to it, we have cicadis. There's the refrigerator I was hoping wouldn't be on. Cicadis with that is is the wrong form to be subject for resonant, so arbusta must be the nominative plural neuter as our subject. And then cicadis with is right there is dative or ablative plural, which matches raucus. And raucus means hoarse, as in a hoarse voice from trying to speak over refrigerators for too long. It means shrill, or it means screeching, which is what most people probably think my voice is like. And that fits with cicadas, though honestly, I like the sound of cicadas most of the time. Eventually, it does really get wearing on the nerves. But hey, that's my character, I suppose. So cicadis is either, of course, as I said, a dative or ablative, and it is feminine. Which then makes raucis also feminine. And we have to ask, well, which one do we want? Do we want a dative? Does the verb resonant take a dative? No, it doesn't take a dative, so ablative is the other option. And then what is the function with the ablative that we have here? Well, cicadas, they're not instruments, so it can't be ablative of instrument. It could be means. The arbusta, which are trees, can also be used for a vineyard. However, note that we've got arb, like arboreal, which is the word we have for trees, and we've got arbor is the Latin word for trees. So vineyard's probably not right. Instead, orchard, maybe. So the trees or the orchards resound, they echo by means of the shrill cicadas, or it could just be accompaniment. They resound with the screeching cicadas. Either one. Let's go ahead and finish this up. Sub ardenti. We've got int right there as the addition to ardo, ardere. So we've got a preposition, of course, ablative, singular, and then what's the gender? Well, it has to modify something, and well, here we have sole right there. We don't need an adverb. We don't need they are resounding alonely. That really doesn't make any sense. Sol is also in the wrong position, except there's a kind of loose positioning in Vergil's writing here. So anyway, E as the ablative ending from sol, solus makes a lot more sense, which then means it's part of the prepositional phrase. And sol is masculine. That's ablative, singular, masculine. Singular, masculine. So under the burning sun. And this is, of course, going to be a callback to a previous line. But also there's a bit of hyperbole or a bit of drama here on Corydon's part, as we know from previous lines that he's actually out under the shade right now. He's not suffering under the burning sun. He's making worse of his position than it actually is. So anyway, but with me, let's go with shrill. Forgetting for a moment how to spell them. And now we can get to this other clause. Tua dum vestigia lustro. So tua and vestigia, they go together. And vestigia is neuter, vestigium being the nominative singular form. Lustro here with that O could be our first person singular, present tense, active and indicative. It could also be a dative or ablative of a different word form for lustro. I wasn't really able to determine much from the commentary for this. It tries to explain what's going on, but wasn't clear enough for my thick head. So what I think it is, I think it is the verb form. As lustro means either to purify or to something like go through a purifying ritual or go for a hunt of some sort. It's confusing anyway. So it'd be I purify, or I travel on a hunt, and then of course doom while I travel on a hunt. And we need to have tua vestigia as the object of the verb here, and vestigia, that's like the sole of the foot or the steps that one takes. So what it might be is that Corydon is saying he's purifying the while I purify the ground where you trod, Alexis. Or it could be while I was on the purifying hunt in your footsteps, so following the same path that you went. And the commentary says that this might indicate that Corydon first met Alexis when their mutual owner, Iolus, was on a hunt of some sort. I don't know. So I'm going to try to put this into some sense in English. Yeah, I don't think I can really make much more sense than that, especially since it's something that I don't really understand. I'm not sure what this purifying hunt would be. This is the first passage where I've even heard that there's such a thing in Roman culture, but shouldn't really be surprised. Everything in some way can be turned towards religious purposes for the polytheistic mind, I suppose. Moving on. And there is our first sentence. Moving to the next sentence, we have none, which introduces a question which expects a yes as the answer. Fuit, it right there, for third singular, perfect tense, active, and indicative. So, has it not been, or has it not happened? What has not happened? Well, satius, as our next word, we have that ius ending, which is our comparative form, either for the nominative or accusative singular neuter, or it's the adverbial comparative form. And this would be from the verb sero, sere, sevi, satum, at least according to my research. And it means, sero means to sow, which fits with our theme out here in the countryside. As an adverb, it's kind of confusing. The on the face of it meaning would be something like more sowingly, or more in the manner of one who sows. Other options are more excitedly, more scatteredly, because of course seeds one scatters around. However, by inference, if inference is the right word here, I think what Corydon might actually be saying is more, we would say, producingly, which is awkward in English, but the idea would be more successfully, an activity that is bearing fruit, bearing a desired outcome, maybe, as an adverb. And it could be adverb, could be fuit is taking satius as the subject. But anyway, let's move on. Tristis, is right there. This is tristis, triste, it's third declension. It needs to modify something. And we have amaryllidis, or amaryllados. We have two variant readings there. One from the commentary, one from Perseus. If we have is, then amaryllid matches tristis. And then she would be owning iras. If she is instead os, then that would make her the subject, because it would be a Greek nominative singular ending, os, ou, being the genitive form. And in which case tristis still matches amaryllados, because the tristis uses the Latin forms. And then she would be the other predicate, subject. Subject is subjects come second with linking verbs in Latin for some reason. So it could be, has it not been more successful, if, rewind, if Amaryllida is the subject of fuit, then satius has to be an adverb. If instead she is genitive with the is, then satius can be the subject of fuit. So with satius as the subject would be, has it not been more successful, and then whatever Amaryllis is owning. If Amaryllis is the Amaryllida, is the subject, then it would be, has not Amarilla more successfully, but then you have to link with something, sad Amaryllis, and there is not anything to link with. Eros with that as is an accusative plural feminine, so that doesn't work. Atque superba, that a right there, could be in reference to Amaryllida, since she is feminine, but we've got fastidia right there, and that is a neuter noun, fastidia, fastidium, fastidii. So then superba has to go with that, and there's yet again nothing to link Amaryllida with. Atque, of course, links superba and iras, so again there's a problem, two accusatives. So I think Amaryllida has to be, does not roll off the tongue easily. Is is the genitive. Tristis right there. And then Eros is what's being owned by her, with Satius being our nominative singular neuter for a cognitive thought. All right. Accusative, plural, neuter as well. And then pati comes from patior, pati, so we've got a present infinitive. Deponent barely fits under that arrow. Atque, of course, is just a conjunction. So then putting this into sensible English, after stumbling around, has it not been more producible, has it not been more successful, the angers of sad Amaryllida, and to suffer the arrogant, the proud, distastefs, aversions, contempts, specifically the aversions of Amaryllida. And then Pati, that's what's going on. Pati's being linked with fuit. There, it just took me forever to work that out. And there we have that question. So I think what's being said here is that Corydon is saying he attempted to pursue Amaryllida, as so many of them appear to have, completely unsuccessfully. Moving on. Nona, we've got another yes question. Menalcon. We have an an ending right there, and this is going to be an accusative singular masculine, again, of the Greek ending. I should probably remind you, Amaryllida means the shining one, implying that she's very beautiful. Menalcon, this one I had to figure out, and I have an idea. Could very well be wrong. I think we've got it broken into two Greek words. men and alka, or alke. Men, of course, not of course, meno, to stay, to remain. And then alka is from alkas, or it is from alke. And there are two accent possibilities for alke, and of course two corresponding different meanings, therefore. Meno, as I said, means to stay, to stand. We can get the idea of steadfast from that. Alkas, that means mighty deeds, or mighty deed, as it were. Alke with one accent means strength. And with the other accent means elk, which makes some sense. So either Menalcon means steadfast strength, steadfast mighty deeds, or it means the steadfast elk, which is a fitting name for somebody who works out in the dark and is about, not in the dark, in the countryside and is about to get the description we will read shortly. But before we can do the question, quamvis, and this means although. Ille niger. Ille, of course, is going to refer back to Menalcon. And then niger is a word for black. And we're going to need to insert a verb in there because we're getting a comparison. Quamvis, quamvis. It could mean, Cordon could mean that either Menalcon is a slave taken from Africa, or it could be that Menalcon's just very sunburnt since he works out in the field all the time. I don't know if there was a different term that they used between, but if Menalcon were from Africa, I think we would probably expect like an Oriens or some other region-specific word as a description. So since it's just this one, he's probably just a Mediterranean who's very sunburned. Although that one is black, and then quamvis is, as I said, is a contrast right here, so I'm not really sure how to put that in English. U, Candidus, US right there, modifying tua, and then we have esses, which is a second person singular imperfect tense because it's off of the infinitive, and it is active, but subjunctive, to go with our quamvis contrast, because it's a hypothetical. We could say are, I think, is the tense. And then candidus, it can mean white or shiny. But I think we had previously, we may have had previously alba, which is another word for white. But we do definitely have alba down here. So rather than just translating it white, like clear-skinned might be what he means. We might say, has it not been? Yeah, how to put this in English? I might just put an or, although that one is black. But you are clear-skinned. Have I not had more success to suffer his advances? Moving on. O, normal particle used for introducing a direct address, which we have with E here. And puer, since it is not a US masculine, it doesn't have a unique vocative form. And then, of course, I suppose now, of course, is the turn of phrase that's got stuck in my head I'm going to use all the time. Sorry about that. I shall try to stop. Formonsa is a word that means well-formed. It can mean handsome. It can mean beautiful, depending on what you're referring to. So handsome is what we're going to use here. nimium. And nimium is a word that means too much. There's a couple different forms of it. Ne is not our question particle, but instead is a negative. Crede right there with the E is a second person singular present, active, imperative. And ne is negating this. So he's telling him, do not trust nimium. And this is adverb. Too much. And then crede takes the dative, which we find here with this I. Dative, singular, masculine. And then what this right here is implying, especially with what he just said about Menalcas, is what type of slave Alexis is. So Corydon, he's a field slave. He goes out and he works. He's going to end up sunburned like Menalcas. Amarylida, I don't remember if we figured out what she was in the previous Eclogue, but this might not even be the same Amarylida. Maybe it's a popular name. At the very least, Amarylida is supposed to be a fairly popular name for this type of literature. But what this is telling us is that Alexis is actually let's call it Verna. It is masculine or feminine, and it's just a house slave. Which means that he's not going to be out there in the sun being sunburned and losing his boy-like appearance like Corydon will and like Menalcas already has because of the hard labor. Instead, he's a scribe of some form, or maybe he cleans. You know, I've never really had distinguished for me the type of house slaves they had. I know scribes and personal slaves, and that's about it. Well, anyway, Alba legustra cadunt, int right there for third plural. U tells us that this is present tense, it's active, and it is indicative. And this, of course, means to fall, of course, again. Alba legustra, we have that A right there, and this is legustra legustrum. So this is a nominative plural neuter as the subject, alba modifying that, and a legustrum is a type of tree. The lexicon, Short wasn't sure what type of tree this was, but cypress is an option. Whatever type it is, it's a type of tree that has a white flower. Vacinia nigra leguntur, intur with a U, third plural present. And this is lego legere, so it is passive this time, and indicative. Are plucked, are taken. In this case, it's not going to be read since we have vacinia from vacinium, which is nominative plural neuter. And this is a type of berry. There are naturally a couple of different options. It could be the blueberry. It could be is it bellaberry? I can't remember how that one's spelled. And then whortleberry is another option. I've had whortleberry jam, but I don't think I've ever seen a whortleberry. I'm very curious. We know this because of how it's described. We've got nigra again, modifying it. So it's black, it's a dark one, which whortleberries are. Blueberries, of course, are. And then that other berry, I can't remember, definitely is as well. All right, so then what's going on here? This is a continuation of Corydon's admonition to Alexis, who of course can't hear this. That he's warning Alexis, don't trust too much in your youth and your handsomeness, because the whiteness of your skin will fall, but the black blueberries are those which are collected and are valued in the future. And it's this part of it that I don't really get. But there we have it. Corydon being hyperbolic about his actual position, throwing unheard warnings against his lover for unrequited love, not only from Alexis, but from Amarylida, and only it appears from Menalcas is he getting it, which I don't think he wants. Or at least I don't get that indication from the text. Well, there you have it. I hope taking a look at this has been helpful for you, and I hope that you have a very good day. And It's Christmas week, isn't it? A very happy Christmas to you. Farewell.